I'd like to talk to you about a situation that's been ongoing in this country for as long as there has been the AMA. As long as there have been vulnerable people under the control and authority, vulnerable, injured, broken people, children, elderly, for as long as I can remember, I have heard stories about this. My mother was a nurse. And those were the days when doctors were gods. Now they're pretty much mechanics. AI does the work for them. So I want to talk to you about this. Imposter doc, inmate deaths equal prison reform, rape and coma. The past week in healthcare. Stat News reports on the case of Charles Akata, an OB-GYN who practiced at Maryland's Prince George County for 4 years. Prince George has a lot of problems. There was one problem. Akata wasn't his real name and he wasn't a real physician. In fact, he is Oluwafemi Charles Igbarasi, and he has obtained medical credentials using falsified documents, including a fake Social Security card. These records allowed Akata to advance his medical career. He pled guilty in 2016 to federal fraud charge and served 6 months in prison. Now, more than 200 of his former patients join a class action suit against the private non-profit that operates the hospital where Akata Igbarasi worked. Who is minding the Medicaid subcontractors? Nobody was. Patients were being killed. Patients were being OD'd. Patients were given medications. Fake patients were treated while real patients had to be labeled with the scarlet A. There is, and I will keep saying it, I don't know if he's alive, a 93-year-old World War II veteran who survived a concentration camp, a firing squad, and years as a POW in World War II, only to come home, become a doctor, treat veterans for 50 some odd years, save money for his children, only to be set up, tried as a drug-dealing doctor, paraded in front of the media, convicted by a dirty judge who said he wished he could give him 20 years instead of 10 years. So basically, he gave him life because somebody told the cops that he OD'd, that somebody OD'd, and I still to this day believe it was the cops that set him up to cover their drug dealing and to steal his $1 million inheritance in gold for his children. That's what they did. They sent him 1,000 miles away from home, so his family, because he was dying. They took everything from that man. Mocked him, ridiculed him for greed. That's why they want the illegals in this country, for Medicaid. So these foreign or fake doctors or scumbag so-called Americans can continue getting rich off of sick people. They deserve nothing less than a firing squad. Unjust denials, impediments in care. A report from Kaiser Health News draws back the curtain on how private subcontractors allegedly try to make monetary gains on the backs of Medicaid patients in California. And these private entities haven't much oversight. One such company is Agilon Health, which has in charge of its coordinated care of 400,000 patients in California. The state's Medicaid agency found that the firm improperly denied or delayed care for at least 1,400 of them. Agilon took over the primary provider management company, another coordinated care company in 2016. And in 2018, internal investigations, one of which was spurred by a whistleblower, and the state found that the staffers filed false information, cut corners, and falsified claims. And these are the same people that will label chronic pain patients with addiction. It's called the ABCD game. Already been convicted drug seeker. And you want to know why? Because the states are only allowed a certain amount of pain medication per capita. So if we got to take it from the dying or the people that need it so we can sell it and make money or feed our habits, we don't got no problem with that. And who do you think are funding Pelosi and the rest of these pieces of crap? I bet you if I did a little research, I'd find half of these companies on their donor list. For one patient, example, was hospitalized after Algalon denied transfusions for anemia. The company CEO insisted the firm did the right thing after problems were identified. We disclosed it, we investigated, and we pursued a remedial path. It's a shell game. Just move your friggin' co-conspirators to another location. Change your business name. Go bankrupt. Open a new one. This is one investigation I'm going to start getting into. I'm going to find out how many fraudulent doctors, how many con artists are out there. How many fake Pakistani and the rest of these foreign doctors and con artists that think they can come here and treat Americans like garbage. I actually had one doctor tell me that why don't I just get it over with and die? I'm a waste of resources, I was told. I try to make as little a dent in this whole system as possible after working 25 years putting money into it. And then some. Waiting on the same cops off duty, getting drunk on their ass, laughing about the drug addict that they threw in jail while they go in the bathroom and come out with white powder on their nose. Oh, I could tell you stories. Algalon's transgressions were apparently not unique. Duh. However, another Medicaid subcontractor, Signer Med, shut down abruptly last year after officials found widespread deficiencies. Just say crimes. Meanwhile, Algalon has won contracts in other states. Oh, I'm going to find out which ones you're in, buds. Raped in a coma. Startling news about a Phoenix woman who gave birth in late December. Police are investigating because she'd been in a vegetated state for nearly 10 years, strongly suggesting she had been raped in her hospital bed. Let me tell you something, people. Any of you that have any type of family member in a nursing home, in a facility, or home health care, you need a camera. I worked in hospice. I worked in nursing homes. I've listened to the orderlies talk about this patient and that patient, slipping a finger in every once in a while, or how much they like to fuck her. It's sick. We fired a guy for talking about necrophilia while he was bathing a patient. This isn't new. This goes on all the time. Those rubber gloves are called a 5-finger condom. It's a sick world, people. And you've got to come out of your Disneyland bubble and wake up and start taking care of the people that need you the most. We could take care of many, many, many more people. Just get rid of the fraud. Nancy Pelosi wants to talk about God and taking care of this earth while planes fly over you and poison you. The only reason why marijuana is legal at all, cannabis is legal, is because it's GMO'd. That's the only reason. That was Obama's agenda. And if you weren't a criminal that had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars stashed from your illegal activities, well, you didn't get in the marijuana business. You didn't stand a chance. And permits were sold like lotteries. You got one if you paid somebody off. It's sick. And those of you that want to proclaim yourself left, this is all just one big okie doke. Musical chairs. Today I'm a Democrat, tomorrow I'm a Republican. I walk a center line. I don't give a fuck what animal you want to present yourself as. I'm an American. I'm a human being. And I am sick to death of this garbage. I'm sick of women marching to murder babies while their counterparts are laying in comas being raped. You want to talk about Me Too because you got groped in a hotel room because you wanted a part and you made a deal? And now you don't like the deal because people know you fucked a scumbag? But you will say nothing about the woman who gave birth because she was raped in a coma? You bitches are pathetic. Pathetic. From what I've been told, she was moaning, and they didn't know what was wrong with her. None of the staff were aware that she was pregnant until she pretty much gave birth. How many of you people believe that? How many of you people believe that? If that's true, that is the state of your medical care. Where a nurse who is bathing a woman, doing bed baths daily, doesn't see she's getting bigger. A doctor checking her vitals, listening to her lungs because coma patients get pneumonia easy. Or listening for abdominal signs to make sure that her intestines aren't getting bound up. Because the muscles get, atrophied. They just waste away. He didn't hear another heartbeat? He didn't feel anything? You mean the woman's been in a coma for 10 years and she hasn't had an OBGYN exam? This is such bullshit. This is cover your ass crap. She was moaning. She was in labor. Coma patients aren't dead. They're trapped in a body they can't use. They're very much there. Trust me. I took care of them. You want to whine about getting your ass pinched. Just imagine being paralyzed and being raped, being moved this way, that way, thrown around like a sack of potatoes, people talking to you, around you, like you don't even live, you're not even there, commenting on the way you look, how they'd like to fuck you, and you can't do anything about it, because you're trapped. But you guys are so worried about the Illuminati when people are dying next to you and you don't even see it. Washington Post also reported that Bill Timmons, CEO of the company running the hospital, resigned on Monday. Man needs to go to prison. Just like the kid, and I'll get into this different story, different video, the guy that was shot in his car by the police officers fell asleep at the wheel. It's your training that sucks. You are being trained to see people, human beings, as collateral damage. I was in fear for my life. The guy's asleep. You saw a gun. Maybe he was allowed to have that gun. So you just shoot anybody that's carrying a weapon? While you're being programmed like a frigging RoboCop to shoot first and figure it out later? Have you guys not figured out what these agencies are really about now? They're about creating the crime so they have people to put in jail. The FBI's full job is to set up people. That's their job. To find the crimes and gather the evidence later. So they're the ones in the chat rooms talking to your kids who may or may not be troubled. They're the ones putting these videos out, gleaning children, trying to get them to hack into places. They're the ones talking to your kids online, seeing if they are willing to bite the hook. And then when they do, there's a knock on your door. And if you don't cooperate, I guess your kid's the next mass shooter, huh? The patsy. If people in their own towns don't start keep making these people accountable, they will keep getting away with it. The saddest part of all is innocent people are being hurt. Children are being destroyed. And the only thing that's done about it is a round table discussion. 15 minutes on the news. And then it's out of your mind because you got the next video game to play. Or you got the next worthless, stupid, just stupid, childish, mentally retarded, self-gratifying objective. That's all it's about for most people. Scratching their fix-me spot. Pamper me spot. My feelings are hurt spot. I don't give a rat's ass about your feelings. Honestly, I truly don't. I care about the people who can't fight back. A prisoner swallowed 2 sporks in an Illinois jail, and a nurse documented that he would have no complications after the incident. After complaining for months, the inmate bled to death from internal lacerations. That's just one example. The Chicago Tribune gives of poor health care outcomes with the Illinois prison system, where officials have agreed to a significant statewide overhaul. It's about fucking time. Jailers laughing at chemically dependent people, watching them die from seizures, telling them, I'm not going to take you to the hospital so you can get your fix. That's how they see you. Sick people are criminals. But you want to allow more undocumented people who can't be traced, who will disappear into the bowels of this sick fucking country. So other people can get rich and you can put a notch on your virtual signaling belt. You're pathetic. You're a fraud. Just one example of the Chicago Tribune's gives of the poor health care outcomes within the Illinois state prison system, where officials have agreed to a significant statewide overhaul. It should end an 8-year lawsuit. That's all they care about, the lawsuits. And that's how you have to fight these people, in their wallets, because that's all they care about, is money. They step over your dying relatives, your fellow citizens. They allow to wallow in feces and urine, and their mental health declines while they virtue signal on TV about how wonderful this organization is, that organization is, and getting all your money. Your so-called heroes are a part of the filthiest operation ever. And that's human trafficking. That's human warehousing. You got slavery all wrong. You don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Those that proclaim themselves descendants of slaves are nothing more than the masters holding the whip. And those of you that say you are for society's betterment are nothing more than cons pirators. If the proposed federal consent decree goes through, there will be more oversight, including a federal monitor to observe staffing, training, and quality control. While the settlement thrilled prison reform advocates, a spokesman for the governor cautioned that it still needs court approval. When you give healthcare workers incentives to keep certain numbers down and they get bonuses, you don't get adequate, accurate, and thorough information. You get cover-up, scumbaggery. and you pay the people who take care of our vulnerable, our children, our elderly, our veterans, as little as you can, ensuring that the bottom of the barrel are the only ones that are willing to do the job. And those that do this job every day in, day out, taking care of people that other people just left behind or can't take care of them themselves, you completely dismiss them. You treat them like they're nothing more than the busboy or a grocery packer. Not that there's any disrespect in doing a decent job. Any job. You pay these people as little as you can, while paying people with a title who don't know jack shit but how to steal the best way they know how these ridiculous salaries. Everything is upside down. You Me Too bitches. You don't know what sexual predation is until you're the woman who gives birth in a coma. If I had to put a hashtag on every time some jackass man did something inappropriate, I'd wear a hashtag burqa, though I'd be covered in it. It's life. And the more you give porn and shit like that to people who don't mentally know how to process it, who are being brainwashed and programmed to be nothing more than rutting, raping animals, what do you expect? Honestly, what do you expect when people are being run by their genitalia? You honestly expect anything of higher consciousness from them? I am so glad I am 55 years old. Because this world is a world of shit.